Good morning, my fellow yogic travelers. That's right, I'm mighty glad to be live today, and I hope that you are too. As we continue with the late 60s kind of psychedelic teachings that have been part of my Dharma tributaries, I'm sure for many of you as well. Today I want to talk about the teachings of Don Juan, Don Juan Matus, that was written by Carlos Castaneda. What I know is that he was an anthropologist seeking information about the Yaqui Indians, or I should say just about the medicine plants at that time in the Southwest. And although he was not seeking for himself to become involved in what turned out to be the transmission of Toltec sorcery, he found his way inadvertently to this Yaqui Indian. Didn't seem like he was any special person, no big whoop, but he didn't realize that this guy was a very deep and profound spiritual teacher. And some of the lessons that he learned, which initially he had to learn it through what Don Juan called a little smoke, which was like dried mushrooms, and then he had a datura plant, which was another psychedelic plant. And although Don Juan's teachings really didn't revolve around taking chemicals, he felt that because Carlos was so committed to the Western model of rationality and explanation, totally left brain, that the only way he could break through his thick skull or his rigid and petrified intellectual understanding of things was to give him an experience that blasted him out of the way he would normally look at things. And that's how we can also see how the drugs of the late 1960s, as they got exposed to the masses, as Mayor Baba said, what else could help a spiritual revolution in the United States except God coming in the form of a material chemical? So here was the way that the Indians in southwestern United States and parts of Mexico and Central America had been doing this for centuries. So here's a couple of the teachings that I think were really fantastic that I've learned from Don Juan, and you'll see the similarities between what he was trying to get across to Carlos. And that was, first of all, what a warrior seeks. See, he taught him different things. First, he taught him how to be a hunter, right? How to stalk stuff. But he didn't teach him to stalk animals, to kill animals, although he used that metaphor that if you study the way an animal lives and you watch the way the animal goes out, gets its food, and comes back to its lair, once you understand its habits, you can understand how to trap it. And so he was teaching him psychologically how to understand your own habits and therefore how to trap your ego in order to go beyond it. So one of the first teachings, the one that still resonates with me, is a warrior. It's another word for part of his teachings. A hunter is one, a warrior is another, a sorcerer is another, and they all have something in common. And the first teaching was that a hunter, a warrior, a sorcerer seeks impeccability in their own eyes and not social verification in the eyes of others. So already you understand there's a certain kind of solitary awareness, the importance of the individual moving away from the monolithic system, very far out on the edge. So one of the ways that he helped Carlos or pointed Carlos towards doing this is trying to make him see the uselessness of your own self-importance and personal history. That resonates so much with so many other teachings about self-annihilation, emptying your mind, getting rid of your ego inflation, taking a humble stance, or not overvaluing the teachings of the culture, which make you in a certain way arrogant and make you want to stick out, puff yourself up with achievement, status, prestige, and so forth. So the teacher confronts you with this idea like one of us has to change, and you know who. Except a lot of people don't want to change. They want to take their time. They don't realize that time is running out, so to speak. Right? The sands of time are running out in the game clock. There's no time out. And of course, the most important thing is to realize it's not enough to know about these things. You have to live it in order to draw the most out of it. You have to give it the ultimate respect. Give it the best of yourself. So whether or not you agree or disagree is not important. Take the challenge on, not by degrees, but all at once. Change on the snap of a moment. Otherwise, you're postponing again. And that's the only way you can make every act count. You think you have plenty of time, and the idea is to quicken and realize you don't. You're not going to last forever. So why are you hesitating in any way to change? The other thing is to learn to be still. Motionlessness, so total, as if one doesn't exist anymore. Sounds like yogic samadhi, doesn't it? Also, to learn to speak without belligerence or conceit. Don't be aggressive and pushy on anybody. Don't be arrogant and haughty about what you think you know. If you whine, your life feels like you've been shortchanged. But the way you live will teach you, is it worth it? Then you make acts that are precise, and you don't feel like you're blundering in your life, making mistakes, not clear, because you learn once you don't complain, once you assume responsibility for your life, then there's only time for decisions. That's what I call the king, right? And if you get lost in your own anger, then you feel self-righteous and justified about being that way or treating people in a certain way. Another teaching that's really fantastic is death, keep it on your left shoulder. It's not just because it's inevitable, and it happens to everybody, but it doesn't bullshit you. And it makes you realize, what am I going to do with the time I have? It's always pending, but the teaching is not said just for fun. It's to help you regenerate your life. And when you do that, then all of a sudden your whole life takes on a certain kind of elegance. All your movements have a certain kind of grace and skill to them. In fact, when you find your teacher who models this for you, they and what they do, it's just a sheer pleasure to be around them because they're emanating a certain kind of reality. And of course, the idea is you listen and you watch them and you're spellbound. And when you immerse yourself in that, you can say that the external world vanishes. It doesn't mean it disappears and you don't see it, but I mean the way that you held it in your mind, the perspective, is no longer enslaving you. And so then you continue to trust your own gut. You continue to follow your own natural inclinations. And you find out what you do really well, and you do that. And that leaves little to chance, and then you're living in a very, very different way. So learn how to wait patiently. These are another major teachings. Learn how to do things for no other purpose than the sheer joy of doing it. Take responsibility for what you do, know why you do it, and then proceed without doubt or remorse. Stop blaming others as if somehow they're the ones who make you go out of control with their unexpected words or actions. And then let go completely of any part of you that would be a violent person frothing at the mouth, but instead live a life that's easygoing and congenial. And I hope that you find that place inside yourself and never break away from it.